Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How you guys doing tonight? So tonight we are joined again by Gage Madrid from Broncos Syndicate, and we're here to talk about yesterday's game and a couple of other topics we got for you guys tonight. But first off, I want to get Gage's reaction. What was your initial gut reaction to yesterday's game?
All right. So I think that it was definitely a frustrating outing offensively. I think that Bo Nix had some rookie mistakes. There's no beating around the bush there. Some inaccurate passes. He sailed a couple of dig routes. He just had a couple of moments where he was skittish in the pocket. But I also felt like the overall execution on the offensive side of the ball just wasn't there from the receivers, running bad routes, slipping, not getting separation, to the run game just never really gaining traction. I think some of that had to do with Sean Payton not really sequencing the run game really well. I think also some of it has to do with just personnel. Like when Javonte was out there, he had one nice run, and then after that, it was kind of a little bit lackluster production from Javonte. Your best back was probably Jaleel, but ultimately on the day, Bo Nix ended as your leading rusher, and he passed the ball 42 times. That's not a formula to be successful in the NFL. I also felt like, Sean Payton didn't really put the offense in a position to be successful, especially from a Bo Nix perspective. Where were the read options? Where were the slants? Where's just the simple get the ball out of his hands quickly without having to make him think or utilize his athleticism? Why not call some designed runs? Just little stuff like that. And then defensively, they were lights out in the first half. They capitalized on Seattle mistakes. I mean, two safeties in one half. That's virtually unheard of. And then obviously Alex Singleton had the pick, and there were several other really good defensive plays. And then in the second half, Seattle started to open up their playbook. They hit Denver on two really big runs with like an exotic trap look, essentially. Somebody on Twitter did a really good job breaking those two clips down. And it just ended up being to a point where Denver's defense got gassed. The offense couldn't do anything at all. The protection was also a problem on offense, and Seattle just kind of outpaced you and outran with it in the second half there.
Mohamed, what was your thoughts?
Honestly, like I was, I kind of agree with you, Gage, but I was like very disappointed. I mean, we waited all this time. We selected Bo Nix, and all this excitement around him during the preseason. And I mean, he's a rookie. Like, if you think about it, like, what did we really expect? But we just like I was very hyped. Like I thought, please he'll get like a couple of touchdowns. Just did not see that at all. Like I could never imagine that this happening. Like the wide receivers just dropping balls, not being open, abandoning the run game. I just did not get that. I don't know why Sean did that. I mean, having him throw like what 42 times, that was just insane for a rookie quarterback. At the same time, you think about it, Bo Nix is going to Seattle. It's a very hostile environment. Their defense is really good. I mean, I knew the defense was good, but they are really good. It was like a really tough outing for him. You know, I thought the defense played pretty well. I was very impressed, especially in the first half. Second half, I think they were kind of getting tired of being on the field all this time. I thought Seattle did a better adjustment in the second half. Sean Payton, I think he didn't expect this to happen as well as we did. Maybe he thought Bonix will do a little better job, on like the first half or, in the game. So it's not what we thought, like that's what something I expected to happen. But then at the same time, there were some glimpses, like I saw Bonix like running and trying, and he was like still poised, you know. I still have hope for him, I'm not kind of giving up. I saw people going crazy on social media, as you've probably seen, but I still have good hope for him, and hopefully next week, it'll be better. Week 2.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to say really, really, really disappointed. I mean, drastically disappointed. Not in Bo Nix by any stretch. I'm disappointed in this coaching staff tremendously. Like Gage, I understand. I remember seeing one of your videos a couple of weeks ago. You had, we kind of talked about it. You had the Broncos taking the loss here because of everything we mentioned about, being the hostile work, environment, Bo Nix being a rookie. I personally had them winning this game. The reason for that wasn't because of Bo Nix. It was more of, okay, you got your veteran head coach and Sean Payton, been doing this for 15 plus years, going up against a head coach that's new. It's a rookie head coach. He's only 36. I'm like, no, Sean Payton's got this. Like, Sean Payton's going to put Bo Nix in positions to succeed. He's going to help Bo get the ball out quick, run the ball. And that's what I thought our game plan was for this year was, run the ball, help the rookie quarterback. And it really ticked me off. Like, you see Bo Nix, your rookie quarterback, struggling the entire first half. You run the ball 20 times, and I believe that 20 times or those 20 attempts was also including Bo Nix's running. So I'm just like, what are you doing? And then you got your rookie quarterback out there, and you said it best, in that hostile environment, with that exotic defense. You got your rookie quarterback throwing 42 times. What are you doing, Sean? Like, that's my question. Like, what is he doing? Why are you doing that with a young guy? Like, run the ball. I understand Seattle's defense was, shutting down the run. They were getting in the backfield consistently. Our offensive line looked like toilet paper out there yesterday. Everybody was just getting through, it seemed like. But I just don't like, not just to break your rookie's confidence and put him in that bad position, but also I just don't want Bo Nix to get hurt. That's one of the last things I want to have happen. And that first half, like you said, defense did really well. They were stopping the run. They got 2 safeties, which was awesome. Like, I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, holy crap, when's the last time that happened? But yeah, that happened. The second half, it was like, we kind of talked about this before we went live. I was like, okay, run the ball. Come out. Your quarterback's struggling, so run the ball. They don't. They pass it the majority of the time. And then what's Seattle do when they come back out in the second half? Knowing Geno Smith was struggling, they ran the freaking ball, and it opened up their, like you said, opened up their playbook. Sean Payton just seems scared to open the playbook. I hope this week against Pittsburgh, he does that. It was one thing after another. And the last thing I'll touch on here before we move on to our next topic is that penalties. They have to clean that up. I think they had like 6 or 7 penalties for like 70 yards yesterday. That was ridiculous. They have to clean that up because that's not going to fly. So, but moving on to the next topic, I want to get your opinion on this, Gage. Patrick Surtain gets the big payday. What were your initial thoughts on this?
The Broncos, for paying Pat Surtain, it was never going to be if, it was always going to be when. I feel like Pat Surtain was always going to be one of those franchise cornerstones that the team was going to take care of, but I definitely was a little caught off guard that it happened so soon. I did think they were going to let him play out that last year, but not complaining whatsoever. PS2 is locked up for the long haul. I'm more than happy because at the end of the day, he's one of those guys that this team is going to build around. They're laying the foundation for their future this year, and Pat Surtain is the key piece. He's like the main level of concrete, that first slab of the foundation. He is such a key piece that holds everything together in that secondary. He had a really solid game, I thought, against DK Metcalf. He did draw a couple of flags, but overall, it was a pretty quiet day from DK outside of that. So Pat Surtain locks up team's number 1 wide receivers and completely takes him out of the game plan. That's something that you just cannot afford to let walk out of your building. It was a blank check situation. You name your price, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Mohamed, what about you?
I mean, yeah, definitely. He's like, I think he's the best corner in the league, to be honest with you. Just like you, Gage, I thought it'll happen probably next season. Didn't see it was going to happen this season, but I'm glad they did it because, the price will just keep increasing as far as how much we have to pay him. I'm glad he's staying with Denver. So, yeah, kudos to the Broncos for doing that.
Yeah, I was actually, I'm not going to lie, I was shocked. Not because they paid him, it's just the time they paid him. I was shocked whenever they paid the belly, and I was shocked whenever they paid Surtain, with that Russell Wilson dead cap. I figured they would have waited until next offseason, like you guys said, push it down another year and then pay these guys once they have the cap. But, I'm not going to complain. I'm happy they got it done and they got it done early. And these deals are going to look, cheap here in about a year or two whenever these other corners and guards and stuff start getting their paychecks. Next topic, Gage, is we saw on Friday night football that Jordan Love went down. I think he's going to be out for like 3 or 4 or 6 weeks or something like that. What would you, how would you feel about the Broncos either trading Stidham or Wilson? And who would you want to trade to the Packers if they came calling?
So I would imagine that the Packers maybe did give a call to the Broncos just to at least inquire, but I think Denver's pretty happy with their quarterback room right now. Sean Payton really likes Zach Wilson as a developmental project. He really likes Jarrett Stidham as that direct game day backup to Bo Nix, kind of that veteran presence in the locker room. I don't think Sean Payton's going to part with either one of his backup quarterbacks, but if he did part with one of them, it would probably be Jarrett Stidham just because of the more long-term upside of Zach Wilson, maybe as your long-term backup quarterback, or maybe he gets paid in free agency and the Broncos can recuperate a compensatory draft pick back. That's something you would think about. He could probably have like that Sam Darnold type resurgence where Darnold went to San Francisco, served as that backup to Brock Purdy for one season. He got in a game in the Week 18 game against the Los Angeles Rams, played well, and then Minnesota went out and paid him. And I believe San Francisco next offseason is going to recoup a compensatory draft pick, possibly even a third-round pick back for him. So that's pretty good business if you ask me. So if one guy's going to get flipped, it's probably going to be Jarrett Stidham, but I just don't see that happening. Sean Payton loves his quarterback room, and I just don't think he's going to part way with any of them.
Mohamed, what do you think?
I mean, if it was up to me, it'd probably be Stidham. I mean, they'll save $5 million. I don't know what they will do with the money, but that's one thing. Zach Wilson, I think Sean Payton sees him as somebody that he can develop. Like it's a project for him. It's something where he could be like, well, things didn't work out with him with the Jets, but I can do this. I can make him better. That type of deal. He sees something in him, so I think it'd probably be Stidham if somebody's going to get moved.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Zach Wilson only for the fact that, I think that's the one quarterback that teams would rather have is Zach Wilson, the younger guy with more upside. I mean, but I would love for them to trade Sim to save that $5 million. But it looks like here we got Kenneth Kirkpatrick in. He's got some questions for you, Graham. He said, "Good evening, fellas. Good evening, Graham. Quick hitter questions for you guys. What are you most optimistic about getting better in week 2, and what are your most concerns that might not get better in week 2? Gage, I'll let you go ahead and start with this one, and then we'll just go around like we normally do.
Sounds good. So as far as what I think is going to get better, I think Bo Nix is going to look more comfortable out there. He's going to have that week of game film to study and see where he needs to improve, what areas of the game he needs to get better at. I think footwork, I think reacting with a free rusher in his face, that was kind of a big problem for him. Seattle multiple times would get a man free flying right in his face, and he would kind of get a little and panic sometimes. I do think he's going to see less of that with Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is more capable of getting pressure with a 4-man rush, and they don't run a lot of those exotic blitzes and simulated pressures where you're dropping defensive linemen into coverage and you're bringing corners and safeties and all that stuff on blitzes. So I think that's just going to naturally look better for Bo Nix based on the opponent. But one thing I'm concerned is not really going to look better is run game and the receiver play. I think the receiver play was really, really bad. Guys were not separating. Guys weren't getting yards after the catch. Guys in the run game, guys weren't getting yards after contact. It was almost 3 yards in a cloud of dust, it felt like at times. That's something I'm a little concerned about. I just don't think Denver has adequate personnel in the run game right now. And that also is on an offensive line side of things too. And then I think as far as the receivers go, again, guys not getting open, guys slipping, not playing on the crappy Seattle turf will help, but guys running bad routes. That's just all stuff that's like been a common theme, and it just doesn't feel good that that's still rearing its ugly head.
Mohamed, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I would definitely see Bo Nix, feel more comfortable, throwing to the receivers. I mean, I think all it would take for him is to score a couple of touchdowns for him just to feel like, yes, I've made it. Now I can. I'm very comfortable with this offense. Definitely improvement on Bo Nix's side. And I do agree with you, Gage. I mean, that running game, I'm not even like, I'm not saying that I don't feel hopeful, to be honest with you, like from what I've seen, and it's like the same issue we had last season. Hopefully that improves, because if we can run the ball effectively, then our whole offense is better. And if not, it just goes to tell you like how this offense will be if we can actually run the ball. So yeah, that's a concern for me.
Yeah, I believe Bo Nix will get better. I think Sean Payton, after watching the film, not just Bo Nix, but Sean Payton going over it with him, he's gonna be like, all right, we don't really have, like you said, Gage, the run game to really do that. I think he will open the playbook up a little bit more. I think he will get the like the little curl routes and the little tiny routes, like the ones he was talking about, like 5-7 yards downfield, to quick passes, for Bo Nix to get the ball out. I think that will get better this coming up week. But the one thing that still concerns me, and it's been concerning me for this past year since he's been on this team, is Vance Joseph. Like, I don't trust the guy. I really don't. I mean, yeah, I understand the defense was gas, but he just does not make adjustments. Every single day I'm watching his defense. I'm like, okay, they start out good, but then it's like, okay, Vance, they're going to try something else. You need to adjust. You need to change stuff up to, maybe, stop them. And he just doesn't do it. So honestly, I think this is his last year. If he doesn't, get this defense humming and he doesn't start making adjustments and doing things the right way and getting better at his job, I don't think he's going to be here after this year. At least I hope so, because he honestly terrifies me. And that terrifies me more than Bo Nix getting hurt at this point. So, but Gage, it's been really great having you, man. Man, I love having you on the show. It's really fun. I got to meet you out at training camp this year. That was really cool. But any final thoughts for Gage, Mohamed, before he hops out of here?
I mean, Sam, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Gage, you're welcome anytime, man. It was nice having you today.
Thank you guys so much. It's always a pleasure to hop on.
All right, take care, Gage. Have a good night.
Take care, Gage. Thanks, man. Guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Man, Gage is awesome, man. I really like him. He's a really cool guy. He's fun to talk to, and hanging out with him at training camp was really fun. Let's see. We got Trevor in here. What's up, guys? He's like, what's the Broncos' chances of playing winning football against the Steelers? I think it's good. Like, I think Sean Payton, like, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, even though he really, really, kind of got under my skin yesterday. But I think Sean Payton's going to change things up. I think he's going to open up the playbook. He's going to start doing them quicker routes, to help Bo Nix get the ball out quick, and not just protect Bo, but protect the offensive line, because you do those little routes, get the ball out quick. Not only are you protecting Bo, but you're protecting the offensive line, because they ain't got to stay and block and hold up too long for a long play to develop, or a run play, whatever. But that's what I think. Mohamed, what about you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Sean Payton didn't actually anticipate that. He thought next would be fine. He kind of forgot he was a rookie too, and that kind of explains how the game went. So, yeah, definitely the whole team, I think, is going to be better. They're going to be more prepared. The wide receivers, and that just goes to tell you, like, when that whole thing competition between him and Stidham, we kept saying that please give all the first team reps to Bo Nix, because we know he's going to be the starter, and that kind of showed yesterday. And I think that's definitely going to get better. And I actually do see us beating the Steelers.
And to answer your question, Trevor, before we move on to the next guy here, I am not going to pick the Broncos to, win like I did last week. Like, I think I had the score 24-13. I think this week it's going to be much closer, and it's going to be much lower as Bo Nix, and Sean Payton keep getting better and, developing that timing and everything. I'm going to say 17-14 final score for the Steelers Broncos. What would your final score be, Mohamed?
Yeah, somewhere around there. A couple of touchdowns for the Broncos, maybe a field goal plus 17, maybe 17-10 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And next we got Kenneth Kirkpatrick. I'm concerned about Peyton's play calling. I'm optimistic about the D line. Yeah, I agree, Kenneth. Thank you for joining us tonight. By the way, really appreciate it, man. I'm concerned about the play calling too. But I think Sean Payton will get better with that. Honestly, I think what people have been saying have been true. I think he was trying, even though he made Bo Nix throw 42 freaking times yesterday. I think he was still nervous and still trying to protect him from, not taking a sack, not making mistakes, even though he made a few yesterday with the picks.
Mhm.
But I think, like I said, he's going to start doing those quick, easy passes over the middle to get Bo Nix into rhythm. Strongly lean on the run game. I mean, Javante was, very, very disappointing yesterday. McLaughlin had that fumble. That was disappointing. Estime, he had 2 carries yesterday for 14 yards, 7 yards per carry. And then his first one, he literally, leaped over the defender and fumbled the ball. Thankfully, I can't remember who was there. I think it was Troutman
Yeah.
was there to
Yeah.
pick the ball up. Thank God. And the D line, I'm optimistic about it too. But like I said before, it's just VJ is what scares me. Like he's got to start rotating guys in and out. He's got to make adjustments. Otherwise, this D line, which I think could be very good because they proved yesterday in the first half, they can stop the run, which is
Yeah.
good. But VJ's got to, rotate guys in and out. He's got to call a better game plan. He's got to adjust. What are your thoughts for Kenneth here, Mohamed?
I mean, I think it's gonna get better like next game. Like I said, he didn't think things would go this way, and that explains the way he called the game. But I'm not honestly concerned. I think things gonna get better as we go in, from week to week. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not something I'm kind of worried about it. And definitely the D line was very impressive, especially the first half. The things they were doing was just, I'm like, I mean, it's what we thought was gonna happen too. So yeah.
Yeah. But Kenny, go out and check his show out. Kenny or K and K show. It's really good over there. He talks a lot about football and stuff. So go over there and check that show out for us tonight, guys. Thank you, and I appreciate that. The next topic I want to get onto because we're only at 22 minutes. We're going to go back through some of these topics again. Cortland Sutton pursued by other teams. Now, this one to me, like I was not surprised. Cortland Sutton is a number one, even though I hate to say he really didn't play like one yesterday, but he is a number one. I think it was just a new season, new quarterback, and honestly, that turf yesterday, man, was freaking just terrible. Like players, not just Bronco players, but even Seahawks players were slipping and sliding all over the place. I think Cortland Sutton still has a little bit of rust. Hopefully that gets worked off. But I was actually not surprised by this. I mean, we heard about the 3-way trade the 49ers wanted to do. They wanted to send, I think it was Ayuk to the Steelers. And then, I can't remember exactly. And they would give the Broncos like a 3rd-round pick for Sutton.
Mhm.
I'm glad the Broncos didn't do that because to me, I'm sorry, he's not worth anything less than a 1st-round pick. Like any receiver that is, wide receiver 1 is worth a 1st-round pick. And the fact that he's only 28, yeah, I understand that's a little on the older side, but he'll help any quarterback look good. I think right now it's just rust, but once they start getting into the season, I think Bo Nix, that's going to be his number one target is going to be Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's going to be the guy to freaking catch everything. What were your thoughts about this, Mohamed?
Honestly, Eddie, I was kind of surprised, especially when Sutton was asking for, that increase in his salary, and he was going through all that, and I thought he might um, get cut or he might get traded and all that stuff. I didn't think teams were actually pursuing him. So that was kind of a surprise for me, especially when they took their time giving him that, salary bump or bonus, whatever he got. Um, but I mean, he's really important to the Broncos. He's really important to Bo Nix. So I'm glad he was not traded. And, especially for, I mean, a 3rd-round pick. Come on. I wouldn't do that for sure. But that was definitely a surprise for me. I'm glad we kept him, though.
Yeah, especially now with, I mean, Josh Reynolds seems solid out there. Tim Patrick's gone. And Marvin Mims, I don't think he had a single target yesterday. Now, I don't know if that was by design or if Bo Nix just wasn't looking his way. Uh, Jordan Humphrey, I remember one pass that he had come to him, and it was to pick up a first down. It was like a 5 yard, I think it was like a 5 yard hitch, and he dropped it wide open, drops it. And after that, you didn't really see anything from Jordan Humphrey little Jordan Humphrey after that. And so Cortland Sutton and Josh Reynolds at this point are the top two receivers. People were hoping it would be Marvin Mims, but like I said, I don't know if they just didn't have a game plan carved out for him yesterday, or if they did, Bo Nix really didn't target him. He was more of Greg Dulcich, maybe a running back, or Josh Reynolds or Cortland Sutton. So hopefully Marvin Mims gets involved a little bit more. Cortland Sutton, I hope he, like I said, I hope this first week one was just rust and he shakes it off and he becomes that player that we saw last year in that 5-game stretch. The Buffalo Bills game with that amazing catch, the catch against the Chiefs, the catch against the Vikings. Hopefully he becomes that player this year for Bo Nix, and we'll see great things. If that's the case. Moving on to the last topic, like I said, we're going to go through some the game recap a little bit more after this between me and you, because I don't think we got all of our thoughts out there completely. The next topic is the Broncos announced their team captains. Now, to me, I posted in the group chat of ours, I posted what I thought the team captains were going to be, and I was just one off. I said Garrett Bowles, but the other team captain was Quinn Miners, and I'm not sad about it. Surtain, of course, gets named team captain after getting paid. Quinn Miners gets named team captain after, getting paid. Bo Nix, the guy that's like the leader in the locker room, he gets named. Will Lutz on special teams. Alex Singleton, which has been here for years. He's a great inside linebacker. And I forgot Cortland Sutton, I believe, was the other one, which, of course, that's going to happen. Cortland Sutton's the number one receiver. But my thoughts initially were like, heck yes, I like this group. And like I said, I was only one off from all of them. What were your initial thoughts?
I mean, like you, I mean, I anticipated most of them. With Bo Nix, I was really excited to hear that because he's a rookie, he's a quarterback, he's going to be the starter. And then the fact that his teammates think he should be a captain, to let him lead and stuff, it's very impressive and very encouraging for our Broncos. He said that himself too, I think, when he was asked about it. I thought that was pretty cool for Nix to be called a captain by his teammates.
What's up, Michael? Thanks, man. Appreciate you hopping in and watching the show. But going back to the game recap, I just have a lot of stuff to say about this, man, because that game yesterday was infuriating to me. We kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the show, and we kind of touched on it before the show. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, Mohamed, but I don't see why. Honestly, 100%. I don't see why you have your rookie quarterback in that kind of environment, that hostile environment on the road, throw 42 freaking times, and you only rush for 20. Now, a lot of people were saying, well, the reason why they threw that much is because the run game was getting stopped up. Okay, I understand that. But the pass game wasn't working either. Like Gage said before he left, a lot of those passes, a lot of those completions that Bo Nix had on those 42 attempts were behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage, or a couple yards beyond the line of scrimmage. It wasn't like 5, 6, 7 yards downfield. No big plays, no seam, routes, no slants, no post routes or anything like that. It was like, I mean, I think Gage said it best. It was like he had Russell Wilson out there playing. All them swing passes, all them freaking throwing into the flats, man. And, and just like the run game getting stopped up with, the offensive line not holding up, Bo Nix, like, if you watch the game, like, the pressure was getting back there like that instantly, even in the pass game. But it's like, even still, if that's the case, if the pressure's consistently getting back there, for God's sake, run the ball more. Maybe create some kind of, exotic run play, like kind of like what the Seahawks did, like an exotic trap run or something, or, maybe a jet sweep or, an outside run, something to maybe, they're going to crash inward, go outside with it, and stop making your rookie quarterback drop back 42 times in his first game and try to throw the ball downfield. What were your thoughts on that situation?
Eddie, I don't think Sean Payton went in with this plan to do that, to throw the ball more. I think he went in thinking he's probably going to rush a little bit more than throwing the ball, right? Or maybe a more balanced approach. I think Sean Payton, I hate to say it, but I think he kind of panicked, Eddie. This is the guy he picked. This is Bo Nix. This is the quarterback he picked. In his mind, Bo Nix was going to be fine. I think he kind of forgot that Bo Nix is still a rookie. We all kind of do. We still do think that, Bo Nix is still a rookie. He's coming from college. He never played in the NFL before. This is too fast for him. And playing against the Seahawks for that defense, I don't think that was the initial plan. I think he thought there was, going to be some kind of balance going on, but then they go in and all hell start breaking loose. So he was trying to protect him, I guess. He was trying to prove that, well, this is the guy I picked. He's going to be fine. That's the only way I can explain it. I do not believe Peyton thinking that Bo Nix is going to throw it like 42 times. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe he just panicked. But at the same time, it's like you've been doing this for 15 years. Like he's still a rookie. You got to remember that. You can't forget about that. He's a rookie. Yeah. Even with all those college starts, he's still going to struggle. And I'm hoping Sean Payton does get better with that this week. I think he will. He can't do that against the Steelers this week. I think this week he's finally going to settle down. He's going to, be like, all right, that game plan, and that's the thing that worries me too, is that, you abandoned the run game because it wasn't working and you panicked thinking, okay, Bo Nix is going to maybe, I guess you said, quote unquote, bail me out, so I'm going to make him throw 42 times and he'll get me out of the situation for this week and we can just get on to week 2 and, get home and he'll, we can work on the things there. And, he can't do that again. Like he's you're the head coach. You're the one that's supposed to design these plays to get your rookie quarterback settled in, to get him, to where he's playing well and protect him. It's not Bo Nix's job to protect you. It's your job to protect Bo Nix. So I think Sean Payton will straighten that up this week. I think here at home with the crowd behind him, he ain't going to have Bo Nix throw 42 times this week. They're going to, I think he'll open the playbook up more. They'll have some design runs, like Gage said, design runs for Bo Nix, get him out on the edge or get him sitting in the pocket or something, and just have those little 5-yard, 7-yard hitch routes or, curls and just hit the receivers and let them. And that's the other thing. I remember watching a video the other day that our receivers got no yards after catch. Like it was like they caught the ball, got the yards and went down. They were done.
Exactly.
Like we got nothing. And
not even trying. It felt like at sometimes like they were just like, oh, I caught it. I'm good.
Yeah. So hopefully that gets better. Sean Payton, designs plays to get guys screaming open across the middle or wherever to where they can pick up the yards after catch. Offensive line's got to block better too. Like that's another thing I hope Sean Payton cleans up this week is that, like I said before, I think there was like 6 or 7 penalties for like 70 yards. That's unacceptable. Hopefully that gets cleaned up this week. The run game, they have to step up. The receivers, like Gage said, they have to step up. They got to catch the ball. There is no excuse for that. Like, honestly, that little Jordan Humphrey, he got elevated right before the game yesterday. I think they took Troy Franklin off the roster or demoted him yesterday. I'm like, okay, well, Jordan Humphrey's not going to be able to catch passes. Bring Troy Franklin in. I hope this week they put Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims into the game plan, because I feel like, yeah, I know Franklin had struggled a little bit during training camp, but maybe he'll catch some passes. Going on to the defensive side of the ball, Vance Joseph, man. I'm going to harp on this until I'm blue in the freaking face. He's got to learn to adjust and, maybe help Riley Moss out. Like Riley Moss had a couple of good plays yesterday, but it seemed like a lot of the time he was just getting beat. I remember seeing one play on the sideline. Riley Moss I think it was man coverage. They were on the sideline. I think it was Tyler Lockett he was on. Granted, now Tyler Lockett's like, a 10-year freaking vet. He's really good. But like Tyler Lockett just, went up and did like a curl, I think it was. He went up, stopped, came back. And then Riley Moss was just like a foot behind him and was just a little too late. They got to clean that up. But the one big thing I will say that I saw on defense that made me really, really happy was Jonathan Cooper.
Yes.
I'm going to say it right now, and I've already said it today online. Jonathan Cooper is better than Baron Browning, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, Eddie. Absolutely. I mean, I know we talked about it before, not necessarily in the show, but we talked about if Baron Browning is on a hot seat, and I think he is, and Jonathan Cooper was just on fire. I mean, Benito too, but Jonathan Cooper yesterday, he had like, 2 sacks, right?
Yep, he had 2 sacks.
He
had a sack on the first play of the game.
Yeah, he kept coming.
And
I agree, man. I agree.
If I remember right, the second play, the very next play, he was also the one that created the pressure that got Geno Smith to throw that interception to Alex Singleton. He created that
line
pressure.
Is solid, Eddie. Yeah, that line is solid, but I kind of agree with you about VJ not adjusting. I mean, it's the same looks. Like you go to the second half and he's not changing anything. Well, that team is seeing what you were doing in the first half, so of course they're gonna adjust. If you don't, you can, right? And that's exactly what happened. So I don't know, Eddie. Like if he doesn't, maybe we'll get a new DC next season. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but the line is definitely much improved.
Michael Wakio stepping in. He says, "Are you guys concerned about wide receiver Marvin Mims not stepping up into the offense?"
I am.
I'm not really concerned about him stepping up. I just don't think Sean designed a whole lot of plays for him yesterday. I really don't. Or Bo Nix just wasn't looking his way. Like there wasn't a whole lot, it seemed like, design-wise for Marvin Mims to get involved. It was more of Greg Dulcich, like Gage said earlier, throwing to the backs out of the flat or into the backfield, or Sutton and what's his name? Josh Reynolds. Like Reynolds, Dulcich, Sutton, and the RBs, those were the ones that were pretty much in the game plan for Bo Nix yesterday. I don't think Marvin Mims had anything schemed up for him. What say you, Mohamed?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Eddie, like, I don't even know why. Like, is he just there to return the ball? Like, I don't get it. Like, we could get a much cheaper option. I'm not saying Mims is not good, but it doesn't seem. I mean, last year I understood it was like his first year when they didn't use him, but this year it kind of. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the same way. We need that speed. We could definitely use him. So maybe we'll see that next week. I don't know.
Well, we did involve Marvin Mims early last year, like the first 2-3 games. Marvin Mims was involved. Like that Washington game really comes to mind. He had 2 really big, pass catches for like 60+ yards. He had the one bomb from Russell Wilson. It was like a 65-yard touchdown that Russell Wilson just threw a beautiful ball to him and he caught it, ran into the end zone. And then there was one like a couple drives later where he hit Marvin Mims down the sideline for like a 50-something, maybe 60-yard gain down the sideline. Like they got him involved a little bit last year, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if Sean Payton's just like, no, he's mostly going to be a return guy, maybe a decoy when we have him out there on offense to make teams think that we're going to go deep, but we're going to have all these, like I said, post routes, maybe like little hitches or curls or, slants or whatever. That way Marvin Mims can take the top off the defense and it opens up the middle, shorter part of the field to where Bo Nix can work. I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't think he designed a whole lot of plays for Marvin Mims. And I'm like, I hope that does change, because if you're going to be this kind of team that, is going to be doing like, I guess you could say dink and dunk. Like it's going to be, 5-7 yard, hitch, whatever kind of routes, to get over the middle, to get, the throw to pick up yards. And then they start bringing the safeties and linebackers up when we start running the ball too. Marvin Mims is that perfect piece to just jolt down the freaking field and have one-on-one coverage. And we know he can beat guys. We've seen him do it. he's got the speed.
He does.
So I'm hoping at some point, hopefully this week they get him more involved with the offense. Like he's a great punt returner and a kickoff returner, but they got to get him involved with the offense. But like I said, I think it was more of Sean Payton just not designing up any plays for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, we could definitely use that speed. We need that. Bo Nix would definitely need that.
Oh yeah, Bo Nix will thrive with that speed. You got him taking off the top of the defenses, and then they said you do like the little hitches and stuff over the middle, and you finally open it up for him to go deep down the field because they're bringing safeties up. Boom, you got a big play for a touchdown.
Exactly.
And we know Bo Nix has the arm strength for it. We know this.
Yeah.
He has the arm strength. Like that arm strength, rushability that everybody was saying this offseason, that's fake. It's not real. But moving on to what I want to talk about is this week 2 game against Pittsburgh. I said earlier 17-14 is my score prediction. And I think that's going to be a lot of running the ball, a lot of, doing those little hitch routes, those little curl routes over the middle, maybe some slants, just getting everything, what they were talking about all offseason, the short, easy timing routes for Bo Nix and Sean Payton to run. What are your thoughts on that, Mohamed?
I mean, it's definitely. I think it's going to be way better than what we saw yesterday or last night. The defense is still good defense, but it's not like Seattle's defense. So things going to be a little more slower, I think, for Bo Nix and stuff. We are going to be able to run the ball a little bit better, I think. I could see the receivers making some moves out there, catching the ball. Maybe Bo Nix will will score a touchdown or two. So yeah, I mean it's definitely going to be better than what we saw last night.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for that. Also, I'm hoping this offensive line steps up big time. I hope the receivers step up. Like they got to create separation. They have to. Yesterday it was just sluggish. The receivers just didn't seem like they wanted to be out there. And that's on the coaching too. Like the coaching's got to get these guys fired up. They got to be like, hey, if you start getting open, there's got to be some kind of punishment. Be like, hey, you guys need to start doing your job. Start getting open. Start creating separation. You guys are getting paid millions. You're here. We need you to, create separations. Like I can design the plays. Sean's like, I can design the plays to, get you guys targets. But sometimes Sean Payton create plays, get these guys open. Like he can be like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. And Sutton, this is going to cause you to come open over here to where you can catch a ball and pick up like an additional 10 yards or whatever. But there's going to be some plays where Sean's not going to do that, and you have to rely on the receiver to create separation with his route and his footwork. They got to start doing that. Last week was just an embarrassment. Like Sutton was always covered. Josh Reynolds was always covered. Dulcich seemed like the only one that was really creating separation, in my opinion. He'd go up the seam or, do like an out route or something, and he'd be like wide open. He wouldn't have nobody within a few yards of him, because he'd be running his route pretty good. But Sutton and Reynolds, they just look like they would, whatever. That's how it seemed to me yesterday. But this defense too in this game, like my thing is like I saw an article earlier that Justin Fields is probably going to start week 2. So we're not going to see Russ, possibly. That can change throughout the week. They say his calf injury is really starting to flare up. So maybe we don't see Russ this week, but regardless of who it is, whether it's Fields or Russ, I think this defense is going to be able to get after it. I think if it's Russ, I'm kind of hoping it's Russ because Fields, in my opinion, like we seen what Geno Smith did yesterday. He had a 34-yard scamper for a touchdown because the defense just no clue. They blitzed 6. It was man coverage. Geno Smith found the freaking lane and he was just gone. I mean, we had the same thing happen a few years ago with Sam Darnold. I think it was 2021 or 2020,
over 30 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. Vic Fangio was the DC at the time, one of the best DCs in the league. Man coverage. I think he sent the blitz. Sam Darnold found the opening and took off for like a 40-yard freaking touchdown run. Now if Russ is in there, I'm not worried. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I actually, when I saw that play, I actually remembered this conversation that we had when I said that I like blitzing. I hope they keep blitzing. And he said, well, if you keep doing it, then they're going to do that. And that's exactly what happened. Like when Geno Smith just took off, you know?
And that's my thing. Like, if Russ is playing Sunday against the Broncos, go ahead and blitz because he ain't going to even outrun a defensive lineman. He won't. Justin Fields, on the other hand, that scares me because he can outrun defensive linemen. He can outrun corners. He can outrun almost anybody. He's fast and he's young. He's got the wheels.
We're gonna have a
still to do.
long night if a long night. Yeah, we have to
I
definitely
want
like
Russell Wilson
that's
to
the
play.
concern.
I want Russell Wilson to play because I truly believe the Broncos will be able to shut him down. Like he ain't gonna be able to do nothing. You know what he's gonna do if he throws the ball. You know what he's gonna do. It's either gonna be a swing pass into the flat, a screen pass, or it's gonna be like a little out route. He might take a shot here or there, but I'm not like the best receiver on that team. I think is what George Pickens. Surtain will lock him down. Surtain locked down freaking what's his name?
Metcalf.
DK Metcalf. Metcalf's a
he
lot
harassed him the whole night. That was pretty good. It was like that's why he got paid. Yeah.
So you know what Russ is going to do if he throws the ball. It's mostly going to be swing routes, flat routes, or little 5-yard out routes.
I really hope he plays, Eddie.
He's going to run himself into. He's going to run himself into a few sacks. You can already see it now. But with Justin Fields, yes, I understand Justin Fields is the same player as Russell Wilson. The only difference is he's younger, which makes him faster.
Yeah.
So he gets out, and he makes a D lineman or a linebacker or a corner miss, he's probably going to pick up an additional 10 yards. So I'm crossing my fingers. I hope to God Russell Wilson plays this week. Not because I want the revenge game on him, but because I feel like Russell Wilson playing is 100% a guaranteed win for us because he's going to turn the ball over to us, and he's going to wind up freaking running into a bunch of sacks because he can't do it. He doesn't know how to do anything else.
It's going to be a defensive party, yeah. I mean, hey, if he plays, I mean, talk about 5 or 6 sacks, interceptions,
Jonathan Cooper gets 6 sacks on the night.
Oh my God, yeah, they are going to be all over him. It's going to be a good game, man. I mean, I really hope he plays. But we shall see.
And because they're saying he's still got soreness in that calf, but it's like if he plays, he's older, so he's probably going to still have a little soreness in that calf. He's not going to be able to move too well, which is why I think it's probably going to be Justin Fields because if he's not 100%, I doubt Mike Tomlin's going to be like, yeah, let's put him out there knowing what we know about Russ and how he runs himself in the sacks. He completely bails out of the pocket after one read before the play even develops, so maybe we should keep him out. So
I mean, if he's competitive, Eddie, like if I was like him, like him coming back, you would think he'd be like, well, no, I need to play. Please let me play, against my former team. You would think that, but to be determined, I would say.
Bring on Russ, because I know I got that gut feeling. I know for a fact, and the fact that it's going to be Russ versus Sean Payton, if Russ is playing in this game, Sean Payton's going to want to win this. Not saying he didn't want to win yesterday's game. Yeah, not saying Sean didn't want to win yesterday's game. I'm sure he did, but this game and the Saints game this year are the two ones that Sean Payton has marked on his calendar that he's going to game plan, and he is going to be 100%, 1,000% ready for. If Russ is playing, dude, I'm saying it now. It's a victory. I'm already guaranteeing it. If Russ plays, it's a victory because he will give us the game. I guarantee it.
Speaking of the Saints, it's just a different topic. That was insane how many points they scored. I don't think I've seen the highlights. It's like 47 points or something.
The Panthers are just that bad. They're just that bad.
Number one, they're going to get the first pick. They're going to get the first pick.
Bryce Young, dude, that'll be 2 years. Wait, will that be 2? I think that's 2 years in a row. No, that's 3 years in a row they would have the first pick. They got the first pick from the Bears 3 years ago to get Bryce Young. I mean, granted, the Bears had their pick, but they lost so bad last year that the Bears got the number 1 overall pick, which was the Carolina pick. And they'll probably if they keep playing the way they played yesterday, man, they're gonna have a third pick. So it's going to be wild. Young, I don't think he's the guy there in Charlotte. I really don't. He's not. He's not the guy for the Panthers.
He's
They're
just
gonna
like
have
Zach Wilson, Eddie. It's the system. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He's very talented, I believe.
Well, I have to go against that because Dave Canales, I think, is a good OC. And Frank Wright's not that bad because I don't know if you remember this, Mohamed. Last year, before they drafted Bryce Young, Frank Wright wanted C.J. Stroud. He didn't want Bryce Young.
Yeah, you're right.
He didn't want him. David Tepper overrid Frank Wright and said, no, we're taking Bryce Young with the first overall pick. Frank Wright's like, no, I want C.J. Stroud. Maybe Frank Wright saw something that, David Tepper, of course, didn't because he's not a football guy. And look how, C.J. Stroud's doing in Houston.
I mean, he's just like, Jerry Jones. I mean, come on, man. Just stop being involved. I don't know why they keep doing that. He's just going to ruin that organization,
Oh, yeah. I actually feel bad for Panther fans. I really do because
exactly.
I'm not saying he's going to be like another, what was Dan Schneider? Because I don't think he'd be that, that evil. I think he's just going to drive that franchise into the ground because he refuses to hire football people and let them make the football decisions. And he just sits back and owns the team. So, but going back to the Pittsburgh game, what are some of the things you want to see here in week 2 with the Broncos going against the Steelers?
Eddie, to me, seriously, I believe if Bo Nix scores a touchdown or 2, it's over. Like that, we're gonna start being consistent. I think he just needs to cross that bridge, if that makes any sense. He needs to feel like he actually did it in the NFL. Where he kind of actually start throwing to his receivers. Making progress. Scoring a touchdown. That type of deal. That did not happen last week's game, right? I mean, I like that touchdown. He did that rushing one. That was pretty good. But yeah, if that happens, I think we'll be fine going forward.
Michael in here saying, run the ball. Yes, that's exactly
that too, Mark.
Do not make Bo Nix throw 42 times this week. Make him throw maybe 20 to 25 times, and run the ball like 30 to 35 times, and you'll win this game. Michael back in here, he said the Broncos played against Justin Fields with Chicago Bears last year, and they beat him. Yeah, they did, but just remember, Mike, I'm not trying to bring you down or nothing, but remember how the first half of that game went? Justin Fields was out there looking like freaking Tom Brady. He was shredding our defense in that first half. Thankfully, I can honestly say I think that was the first week of the year last year where Vance Joseph, actually made adjustments on defense. They came out and the defense started playing with like they had their hair on fire. They were playing great. They were getting in the backfield. They were stopping the run. They were getting in the backfield, getting to Justin Fields. And the offense was able to come alive and score points. So I'm not saying that they can't win if Justin Fields plays this Sunday because I believe they will. I just know that Russ is going to be a guarantee. If he plays, it's a guaranteed win because he's going to hand the game to us. He's going to make a stupid mistake and cost the Steelers the game. But with that said, I would like the next thing I wanted to ask you, Mohamed, is with everything that we've seen this past week, with the Seattle defense. Now, this is the tricky part. The next 3 weeks, week 2, week 3, week 4, we face some stellar defenses. We face Pittsburgh this week. We face the Bucs with Todd Bowles the following week, and then we face the Jets week 4. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think hopefully after if the Broncos can take down the Steelers off or defense with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, if they can take down the Steelers defense, do you think they can take down a Todd Bowles-led defense and a Robert Saleh-led defense with the Jets?
Here's what I think, Eddie. I think Bo Nix is going to be better every week. he's going to improve every week. That's what I really believe. I don't think this whole thing with the Seahawks is anything to tell us what the future is going to, I think he's going to be much better. He's going to be more prepared. I think Sean Payton's going to get him prepared. I mean, we got to think about it. He's coming from college. Everything was probably super fast for him. I mean, we know he has that ability to process, but everything is faster. That probably explains why he threw those 2 picks. So I don't think it's going to be worse. I think every week is going to get better. That's what I believe.
So do you think they maybe need to Bo Nix just needs to slow down a little? Just like you think he's going too fast out there on the field is basically what you're saying? He just needs to kind of have the game slow down for him?
Yes, and I don't think he was kind of ready for how fast the defenses were, the players were. Every time you hear this about people come from college saying the NFL is much faster and stuff. So and if you remember Eddie I'm not trying to compare, but C.J. Stroud didn't play as well in his first game, I believe. It took him a while to get there. So, and I think it's the same for Bo Nix.
It took CJ Stroud to week 4 last year for him to really start, becoming the guy that, he became throughout the rest of the year last year. I'm hoping that maybe it's a little faster for Bo Nix because, like I said, we got 3 stellar defenses we're going up against. We're going up against the Steelers, we're going up against the Bucs, and we're going up against the Jets. I'm hoping that because I don't want to wait until, just like last year, I don't want to wait until week 4 or week 5 to win our first game. You see what I'm saying? Like, I hope that development and that, and Bo Nix is a fast learner, by the way. Like, he's not going to make those same mistakes that he made in yesterday's game. And I'm hoping Sean Payton doesn't make the same mistakes he made yesterday in that game either. So hopefully this week, I believe whenever you say, Mohamed, that if Bo Nix this week, Sean Payton comes up with a good game plan, Bo Nix those 2 touchdowns, I think the game will start slowing down for him. He'll start getting settled, and then going into week 3 into the Bucs, you're going to be like, all right, Bo Nix has got it. He's got it down. The game slowed down for him. He's comfortable. Let's just go. I think that will be the case because, like I said, I don't want to wait until week 4 for the first win. I think we get our first win this week against the Steelers here in Denver. The Jets are losing right now against the 49ers. Yeah, I did see that. Aaron Rodgers, like I haven't watched the whole game because we've been doing this podcast, but the first couple of drives I saw of Aaron Rodgers, he looked pretty good. Like especially the touchdown drive he led, the second drive they were out there, he looked pretty solid. This defense is going to have its work cut out for him because I think Aaron Rodgers still has it. They're going to have to be ready for that. John Elway was benched in his second game in 1983 with the Broncos, and the rest was history. Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up, Mohamed, because you talked about C.J. Stroud last year. John Elway, they showed the stat last night. I'm sure you saw it all over Twitter. Bo Nix had I can't remember whenever they posted, it was like 20-something of like 30-something attempts, 20-something completions, 100-something yards, an interception, and no touchdowns. And they showed the passer rating. John Elway was worse. I think it was like 10 of 14 for or 10 of 12 or something for like 14 yards and an interception in his first game. That was John Elway. And that was during a time where it was all about running the ball back in the early 80s. It was all about running the ball and playing defense. So I do believe, I have no problem with Bo Nix. I don't blame him. Besides those 2 picks, I am not worried about Bo Nix in the slightest. He will get it figured out. We've already seen it in the preseason, and in practice. He makes a bad play. He comes back out. He's like, okay, wash my hands, move on to the next play. Let's go. I will not make that same mistake again. I learned from my mistakes, and, he goes. I believe that will be the case. This coming up week, he's not going to make the same, even like the Indianapolis game in the first preseason. Footwork was a little rusty. He had a couple of bad throws there to start off with. What did he do in week 2 against the Packers in the preseason? He came out, footwork looked a lot better. He was hitting receivers in stride. He was just boom, boom, boom. I mean, he was getting it. He did not make the same mistake twice in preseason or in practice. And this week, it's not going to happen again. But we're almost at an hour, Mohamed. Any final thoughts about the topics we went over or this week's game that you want to get to before we get out of here?
I just want to say, Eddie, about Bo Nix. He's our franchise quarterback. I believe that. The guy that I've seen playing, like yesterday's game, did not change anything for me. He's very confident. Nothing really phased him. I like his athletic ability, the way he throws the ball. He's going to get it figured out. But I do believe we have found our guy. This is our guy. We just got to be patient. That's all.
And that's saying a lot for Broncos country. Like I've already seen people saying, "Oh, Bo Nix ain't it. It's over." They're after one game and him throwing 2 picks
As expected. Yeah, as expected.
We talked about this offseason. We literally went into detail about this because the same thing happened. I guarantee you social media was, as big as it is now back in 1983 when Elway came into the league. People would be like, cut Elway. He's done. He's garbage. He
trash. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's trash. He's not going to do anything in this league. Now, you can say what you want about Drew Lock. I personally still don't think he got a fair shot with the right, OC, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But it was the same thing. Like, even though Drew Lock came out and, and now he's not really that good anymore. He came out and like Bo Nix, was like just, he had a couple of bad games and people were like, oh, this is just garbage. I'm sure there was Texan fans out there last year that said the same thing about CJ Stroud. He came out and looked bad those first couple of games. Oh, he looks like garbage. We drafted the wrong guy. We should have probably took Bryce Young or we should have took whoever. Every fan base has got those people. And honestly, I just have to laugh at people that do that kind of crap. Yeah, Bo Nix didn't have a great game yesterday. It's to be expected. First NFL game for him. He's a rookie. And like I said before, and I'll say it again until I'm blue in the face, that loss was strictly to me on Sean Payton and Vance Joseph yesterday. 100%.
People got to play better around him, Eddie. Yeah, they got to play better around him.
Sean Payton did not have a good game plan. Vance Joseph did not adjust correctly. That loss is on them. They are the coaches. They are supposed to put players in positions to succeed
Get them ready.
And make sure players are ready to go and make adjustments. And whenever they don't do that, you lose. And
that's what happens. Yeah.
I can take that loss and look at it with an optimistic view because even though we talked about it, Sean Payton didn't have a game plan. He did, Vance Joseph didn't adjust. They didn't put their players in the positions to succeed. But guess what? We only lost by 6.
Yeah.
Like usually whenever something like that happens, you get blown out. I'm surprised the score could have very easily been like maybe 7-26. We could have got blown out in that game. Michael Ronquillo coming in. Bo Nix's maturity showed during his interviews and presser after win or loss. Yeah, it does. I watched Bo Nix's interview yesterday. The guy is mature. And he's pretty much just like, let's move on to the next. He's like, yeah, we didn't play great. It happens, but let's move on to the next game. That's exactly what you need.
Exactly.
Don't dwell on the loss. It's a loss. It's done. It's over with. There ain't nothing you can do. Move on to the next game. Prepare and be ready for it. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. Had a lot of fun. Got to a lot of great topics tonight. Got a lot of stuff out there. I got a lot of stuff off my chest personally, Mohamed, because that game just infuriated me yesterday. But I had fun. We went over an hour. Glad that football is back and on to the Steelers, man.
Absolutely.
We will talk to you guys next week. Please like, comment, subscribe on this video, and we will see you guys next Sunday or Monday. I haven't decided which yet. But we will see you guys next week, and thank you for joining us, everybody in here tonight. Peace.
Good night, guys. Thank you.